Hey guys, Griffin here. Today we're going to ask the question of whether or not you should become a blockchain developer. But of course the answer is it depends. So let's break it down. So the first thing I want to talk about is how blockchain development is really a blue ocean environment. And if you're looking to deploy a product, you have kind of an unprecedented advantage in that there is so little development in the space. There's plenty of room for new products to spring out without a whole bunch of competition. Especially if you're looking at like Web3 gaming or NFTs, those technologies in blockchain as a whole are very new. And if you're picking a chain that isn't necessarily Ethereum, you have an even bigger advantage because a lot of those chains have so little time with NFTs and Web3 gaming in general that you can typically get an edge up. So something like Algorand, for example, isn't going to have a whole lot of NFTs on their platform, and maybe you decide you want to make a Web3 NFT marketplace. That's an example of blue ocean because you are taking a position that no one else in the space currently has before competition crops up, and that would make it a red ocean. Sharks in the water converge, create the blood, right? So that's the analogy we're going with here. But blue ocean environment for blockchain development right now because there's really just not a whole lot of competition. So that's a really big bonus if you're looking to get into blockchain development. The second thing I want to talk about is how easy it is to get crowdfunding right now. You can either have an ICO and distribute tokens to all of your fanatic fans to snatch up, or you can do something like a DAO and either incorporate yourself into the DAO to do work that they need as a learning basis, or maybe you get paid a certain set fee of the DAO's treasury. Or you can even create your own DAO so that you can have funds going forward as sort of a war chest, and then you can deploy that to other developers to work on your product. If you happen to have more money than most, this might be a good way for you to get your project into a workable state so that you could then bring in VC funding or however else you want to kickstart your project. But one of the nice things about cryptocurrency is just how easy it is to actually fund the project that you're working on. And now that's changing with the high rate environment that we're finding ourselves in, but it's definitely still true on the whole. And money is easy to come by in crypto because it is essentially digital money. And so if you're looking to get something off the ground, as long as you have a reasonably low overhead, like you're not paying for employees to go to an office or anything like that, then you should have a pretty reasonable time getting a project off the ground, especially because you can source workers from all over the world with different ideas of what a living wage is, right? Different working conditions. And so you can really bootstrap a project in ways that haven't really been possible before on a globalized scale, decentralized, without really having to worry so much about where you're sourcing your workers for, if you're providing them insurance, all of these certain obstacles that can make a traditional company harder to get off the ground. And lastly, I think this really depends on what type of person you are and if you're comfortable taking risk, because realistically, you may not get as lucky as I did. I was fortunate enough to be a mobile developer and get drafted into the blockchain development space through GameStop as they were just initially starting up their Web3 gaming division. And so I was lucky in that I didn't necessarily have to know blockchain development going into it. I was able to learn on the job and increase my skill set going forward. And so that is a really big advantage if you're able to land something like that, because then you can figure out if you even like it as you're going through it, right? And if you don't, you can leave and go back to your day job as a regular developer, right? And so that's pretty powerful in and of itself. But also you get to immerse yourself in around people that are much smarter than you at blockchain development and learn from them. And so you can kind of absorb by osmosis, right, while you're working through it. And so those are pretty big advantages, not to mention you're getting paid to do blockchain development, which is obviously the end goal. And so if you can't find a gig like that, it's going to take you an average of 2 years to get up to speed on blockchain development, depending on which kind of portion you're looking for. If you're going for something front end, it's going to be a little easier than if you're trying to do smart contract work, for example. But on the whole, it's going to take you a year or two to build up your repertoire if you're already a decently experienced developer, in order to land something that's going to be able to pay your bills in the blockchain space. You might be able to get a seat on a DAO that is able to compensate you fairly for your work and kind of teach you up as you're getting going, or maybe you can find a boot camp that allows you to learn part-time and then get some good job placement after and make some good connections. And so there are a couple different avenues that you can take if you're interested in blockchain development and you are trying to look for less risk. But on the whole, you're talking about a bleeding edge technology that has really only been mainstream for a year or so. And we're trying to get developers into this space on a very large level, right? To see if we can extract real value out of this system that'll help society. And I think this is kind of like the dot-com bubble is what we're experiencing right now, but for blockchain and Web3 tech. So a lot of really new companies got created that weren't necessarily ready for the limelight. Their products weren't ready to go, and they're gonna go bankrupt here soon if they haven't already. And so because of the high rates that we're seeing and money tightening up, people are going to be less likely to throw huge sums of cash at startups and companies that are highly unprofitable. And so Web3 development on the whole is going to slow down a little bit, but I think that's okay. We need something to kind of cleanse the chaff. There are too many scammers in this space, and it's really giving everything a bad rap. Whatever survives through the bottom of this bear market is going to come out on the other end so much stronger. And if you can teach yourself these skills in the bear market right now, while everyone else is running away, you're going to be in such high demand on the other end of it. And so I think that if you're willing to take this risk and undergo the transformation to a blockchain developer, you're going to be better off for it. That's my thought. And so I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section below. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. And if you want to ensure that you don't make the same mistakes that I did starting out as a blockchain developer, check out this video on screen here about the top 5 things I wish I knew before going into it. Thanks guys. See you in the next one.